Blessed be everyone. Welcome to another Mystery Witch School Live. Today we're talking about the power of words, the power of magical words. So we're going to talk about that today. And I've also got another video coming up later in the week that's on the same subject. So welcome to all of those who've been waiting for the video. Welcome to those of you watching the replay. As I wait for more people to come on, as YouTube lets people know that it's happening, I'll welcome all of the new people who are here as well, watching the channel and even watching the live thus far. If you're new to the channel, my name is Sandra and I've been practicing Wicca, witchcraft, magic, and all sorts of things for the last 30 odd years. And this channel is all about magic, Wicca, witchcraft, tarot, and shadow work as well. So we do a few different things here, and we're talking about magic more recently. Hello, Robert. Hello, Sandy. Blessings to you all too. And if you are wanting to get better at your spell casting, I wanted to just let you know that I have a free PDF. It's called the Spellcaster Checklist. It just goes through, it lists things that you need to consider and think about when you're doing your spell work to make your spell work a bit more clearer for you so that you will have more success with your spells. So it just gets you thinking more about them, about why you're doing them and what you need to do, what you need to gather, and just have a bit more of a think, and to also understand the power of your purpose, your intention, and your power, that you are really the magic behind it all. And we all have this power to create. It's not something that only certain people have, it's something everyone has. So that's the Spellcaster Checklist. I've put a link in the chat and there's a link in the description field below this video as well if you want to grab that. Okay, blessed be Brandon, Swak fan, how are you going? Okay. So we'll dive into the topic and other people can join in as they do, because I know that personally I do not like waiting for lives when a lot of other people in lives are waiting for more people to join. I like to just get into it. So we're talking about the power of words in magic. So the words are the spells that we say, the words in the spells, chants, our voice, vibrating energy, vibrating sound is what we're using when it comes to the power of words and spell casting. Spell comes from to spell, so to say something, to write something. And that word spell has just carried on over and over and over again for a long, long, long time. So when we're spelling something, we're speaking something, essentially. A lot of spells don't necessarily need to be spoken. A lot of them can just be energetic. But when we're working with traditional magic, there's usually something that we're saying, whether the spells are rhyming or whether they're not rhyming, whether they are more metaphorical or whether they're more concrete. It really just depends on the spellcaster themselves and what they like to do and how they resonate with words. Some people are more straightforward and just like to use affirmations or something that's more of a sentence that's just straightforward about what it is they're wanting. Other people like to use poetry and play with rhyme and rhythm, and that can help them get into the feel. So the words are believed to carry vibrational energy, and they do. We are vibrating with our voice, and the words are carrying vibration as well. Everything has vibration. Sound is vibration. And the words are meant to align with our intention so that we can match our intention to what it is that we want in the universe. So the vibration of our voice is vibrating at the same frequency as what it is that we want. And we'll talk more about how you get to that vibration and how it's a bit circular, actually, because the vibration helps you get into the vibration psychologically as you say the words. And then as you get more into the vibration of saying the words, it starts to vibrate you. And if you're saying a chant over and over and over again, you can really get into the feel of it and the vibration of it. Hi, Lawless Bones, blessed be. And so by speaking and chanting these words, you're aiming to resonate with the desired outcome and influencing the energy, getting your message out there to the universe and having more success with your magic. So when it comes to working with the power of words, it's not just that you're saying the words without any meaning or anything behind them. There does need to be a connection to the word itself or the words that you're using, because the intent is coming through the words and it's coming through the emotion that you're putting into the words. And you don't need to use a lot of emotion in magic. It's more that you're trying to feel what you would feel or expect to feel if you've already got the result of your magic. So the words clarify your will, if you're thinking of magical will, and make it more effective. They make it more effective on a psychological level and on a vibrational level. Hi, Amy Zing. The nutmeg state. Oh, okay. I didn't know that Connecticut was a nutmeg state. Awesome. Hi, Virginia. So let's have a little bit a look at, I guess, historical contexts and where words have been used. We can see from even the connections to Western culture, like our connections to Greek and Roman magic, to even Norse, Celtic, Egyptian magic. All of these cultures used words in their rituals. They inscribed symbols and words, or even seed syllables of words, on their amulets, on their tombs. The words were there to invoke favor of deities, also protection, and various different things. So words have been used in cultures for a very, 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 very long time, probably forever, I think, when it comes to magic. We've got them with the Greek and the Roman magic. They used incantations. You've got all of the Greek incantations and chants and beautiful verses in the Greek magical papyri, and even older than that. There's texts on all of these beautiful words. In Indian history, in Hinduism, Buddhism, they use a lot of seed syllables in their chants. And so the seed syllables are symbols of a particular intent or a particular aspect of deity or whatever it is that they're wanting to invoke through the chanting. So the chants may not necessarily be finished words or words as we would use them to communicate to each other, but they're sounds or vibrations that carry an intention, and that intention is being sort of put into a particular seed syllable so that it means the same thing no matter who is saying it. Like the Om, for example, is a word and it's a seed syllable, and it vibrates at that consciousness of unity and the universe. And if you've ever done any kirtan or any zikr or anything from other Eastern cultures where they do a lot of chanting and a lot of mantra, you'd be familiar with a lot of the seed syllables that they use. And when you're saying a seed syllable or a number of seed syllables together over and over and over again, you're building energy. And I know that within Sufism, that as the chants keep going on and on and on, they get faster and faster and faster. So the voice speeds up and then it slows down as the chant starts to slow down. And it's like that's how they build the energy in the circle. Traditionally, in Wiccan circles, we would walk around the circle and then run around the circle to build the energy, to build that cone of power. They use their voice to do it. And they do a similar thing, but it's with the voice. So we can use our words to build energy around us and to really, really get into the feel of something, build the energy, build that cone of power. And then when we're ready to bring it down, we slow it down. So there's all these fun ways that you can work with words and vibration. Okay, Virginia, what if you're not good at using words and spells and is doing using imagination or projection in your mind? Yep, sure. The words of your spells don't have to be poetic brilliance. And look, I'm not a word person either. So I totally hear you there. I'm not great with words. It's not my forte. I prefer to move and to be more kinesthetic in the work that I do. So you can certainly use your kinesthetic, if you're more kinesthetic, to do that. If you're great in your imagination and you can really put yourself in the wish fulfilled, that is great too. A lot of people in the law of assumption and law of attraction communities just use that and it works for them. So you don't have to get too hung up on the words. But even if you just have a phrase that you find and you just say that phrase over and over and over again, you can use that as your words in your spell. For example, if you're doing a spell for money, you could just go, money flows to me, money flows to me, money flows to me. That's not particularly poetic. It's not particularly as amazing as some people who write really lovely spells, and you just look at them and you think, oh, how on earth did they come up with that? In the books, uh, you don't even need to do that. You can just use a phrase. And if that phrase is stating concisely what it is you want, that's your mantra, that's your chant, that's your words. And if you can get into a rhythm with just a phrase, you are using your words in magic. You're using the vibration of the words. And when you're saying words, they do make you feel something. It's like when you're singing a song. When you sing a song, the melody of the lyrics, it makes you feel something. You know, music tends to be very emotionally effective. And even some of the more intellectual music, like new music, where they use a lot of algorithms and tend to get a bit mathematical with it, there's still some vibrational effect of it. There's still an emotional impact. And chants are like that too. Spells can be like that too. They're creating a bit of a rhythm. And if you're creating a rhythm, you start to create a hypnotic state, a trance state, and then you can start to speak to your subconscious mind. And when you talk words, you are going to feel what it is that you say. And that's what the words are for, to help you feel into what it is that you want more, so that you can then have the emotional experience of having it already. And that's what you're sending out to the universe. Uh, there's so many different texts throughout history on using words in magic. You've got the medieval grimoires, you've got the Key of Solomon, the Goetias. There's a lot of words, and a lot of them don't make sense. A lot of them in magic, we don't even know where some of those words came from. And they're most likely not actually words that mean a particular thing, as in our speech. They may be words that are symbolizing something. If you've ever done sigil work, you break a phrase down or a sentence down into symbols from breaking down the letters. You can create a chant from doing that too. So if you want money to flow to you, for example, money flows to me, you could break that down by getting rid of the double letters, if there's any letters that repeat in that phrase, and then playing with changing the vowels and the syllables so that it means something that's not actually intelligible, but it sounds great in a chant. And when you're associating it subconsciously to your intention, it can actually work really well as a seed syllable chant. Not everybody can relate that abstractly to things, so it doesn't work for everyone. But for some people who are more abstract in their thinking, sometimes ditching the actual words that have meaning, literal meaning, and turning them into something more metaphorical can actually have quite an impact on the subconscious mind. Okay. You probably will find in some of the older texts that sometimes Latin was used too in Western culture for spell casting, and it is quite a powerful language actually. Latin, Sanskrit, Arabic, They're all very powerful languages to do chants too. They've been used for a very, very long time to have that vibration around them. So they can be great languages to use when you're doing spell casting. The words in magic too don't necessarily need to be concrete. They don't necessarily need to be literal. If you've looked at any spells from people who've written spells in books or have spell chants or anything that you may have seen, often you'll find that there's a lot of metaphor that is used in it, because our subconscious mind loves metaphor, and that can help us feel more into what it is that we want when we're using metaphor, and speak to the subconscious mind so that the subconscious mind is on board with what it is that we're wanting to create, because it's our subconscious mind that is actually putting the energy out there. We might be using our conscious mind to direct our will, but it's our subconscious mind that's actually really getting the message out there. So it needs to be aligned with the conscious mind. So you need your subconscious and your conscious aligned when it comes to doing magic. Okay, sounds a lot like sigil work too. Yeah. So you can use metaphor for anything that might be more complex. You could invoke the names of deities or ancient spirits as well in your spells to resonate with that energy, and not only to invoke them and to ask them for their blessings, but also that resonates with the energy of whatever that deity was particularly known for. If you're into creativity and crafts and you want to craft something, you could work a lot with Breed and her imagery of the blacksmith and the crafting of things and the inspiration. That's a way that you can work with deities in your spell casting as well. Okay. There's a lot of ways that people have used words in all manner of wanting to manifest things, even if it's not necessarily typical spell casting type thing, using them for a very, very long time under other names. I'm just going to give you some examples of some of the things that have been used to create spells that weren't necessarily spells, or termed spells, I guess you could say. But there's some really lovely, if I can find them, chants that you can use, things that you can say that are there if you are wanting to use words, but not necessarily in a formal spell. So maybe using words throughout the day where you're wanting to remind yourself of something, or you might be finding that you're worrying about things, or worrying about the spell, or thinking about the spell when you know that you shouldn't be thinking about the spell after you've done it. Or you're having a particular situation where there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of worry there. You may have done the spell to be able to manifest whatever it is you want in the change, but sometimes you need to use the power of words throughout the day to help the subconscious mind come more on board and not worry so much about the situation. And there's some really lovely chants here that are from a woman called Florence Shovel Shin. And I think she was back in the early 1900s, and she was a woman that a lot of people would go to for manifestation. Now, she didn't call herself a witch, and she probably didn't dare call herself that back in the day, but she pretty much acted like one, because people would come to her, they'd tell her their problem or their issue, and she would recite mantras to them, and things would change for them just by her giving them the mantra, or her even sometimes doing it for them on the phone. So she was a pretty amazing woman, even though she wasn't technically a witch. So I can't find that. I've got things written down here in this book, and I cannot find them. So If you're going through any situation where you need to reiterate throughout your day something to help your subconscious mind come more on board with the intent of your spell, you could say something like, "The unexpected happens. My seemingly impossible good now comes to pass. Now is the appointed time. Today is the day of my amazing good fortune." These are little chants that you can say over and over and over again, and they are spells. Because when you say that, now is the appointed time. So using your will, now is the appointed time. Today is the day of my amazing good fortune. And using that as your daily mantra, or even using that in a spell for good luck, is something that you can use. You don't necessarily always have to go to magical texts for these things. You can find them in older texts written by people who are more in the human potential movement, such as Florence Shin there. Okay. Hi, Krishna. Hi, Maeve. For me, most of my practice is Sanskrit mantras, so using English in my eclectic pagan practice is great because it's my first language, and so using it makes intention focused, like using both. Yeah, and I find that I've used a lot of the Sanskrit mantras too, and they have a good use for bringing that rhythm in, getting into a trance state. Particularly if I'm moving, if I'm wanting to move, I find that they can help with rhythm. But when it comes to spell casting, I do like to use English because that's my first language, and it's got meaning. The words actually have a meaning for me, so I can sort of feel more into them emotively because actually got a meaning that. But it depends, I guess, if I'm looking at just using pure sound, as in the mantras, or whether I'm actually wanting to connect to the actual spell itself. So the psychological impact of the spell is probably the main focus here. So anything that's going to give you a sense of having already achieved it is going to resonate with you on an emotional level and take you into that vibration, because when we're having an emotion, we are vibrating at a different frequency. It changes our energy signature. And these things have been measured. So we can measure these things now, and they do show change. So when we change our emotion, we're changing our energy signature. We're changing our vibration, essentially. So using words to help with that is what's in the power of affirmations that Louise Hay introduced to the world en masse. And being able to say them long enough and try to feel into them, even if they don't feel real, for a long time, to actually change the vibration to vibrate with the words that we're saying. There's my favorite spell that I just keep remembering because it's such an easy one, which is the Scott Cunningham Money Flow, Money Shine, Money Grow, Money's Mine, which is the first spell I ever did. That's why I think it still sticks in my head. It was the very first spell I ever did. And it's simple. Money flow, money shine, money grow, money's mine. It's an easy thing to say over and over again. You're talking about money flowing, and you can feel the flow. You can feel it shining. You can feel it growing. And it sort of gives you an image of something as well, a visual image of it. So it's easy to get into, it's easy to say over and over again, and you can really feel then abundance around you and flowing within you and shining around you and all of those things. So it's finding spells. Now there's a lot of spells out there. People write spells, people are good at write them. And so you can find other people's spells if you're not that great at your own, and modify them, change them. So if they don't quite resonate with you, you could change a few words here or there so that they do resonate with what it is that you're wanting. And you could even try to use AI to do some spells too. I think I may have actually even done a demonstration of how that can be quite tricky in the video that's coming out Wednesday evening for those of you in the US, and Thursday morning for people here in Australia, where It's not bad at doing chants, but you'll find that you may have to play with it for a little bit if you're wanting to get it to help give you some inspiration, like using ChatGPT, for example, to give you maybe a spell, and then you look at it and go, okay, well that doesn't work, or that doesn't make sense, and then you just change it yourself or play with it. There are ways that you can get creative with the new technology that we have available to us as well. So there's lots of things that you can do, particularly if you're not, as I said, if you're not a writer, then use the tools that you can use to write. There's nothing wrong with doing that. People have been using calculators for years, spreadsheets for years, to help with the money side of things, or figures side of things, the maths side of things. So certainly use the chatbots for the written side of things if writing isn't your thing. um, so it really just depends on if you find a chart, if you write a chart, if you're using a chatbot to help you write a chart, say the chart a few times to see what it feels like to say it. And then you can tweak it. If it's not feeling quite right, how would it feel right? How are you going to get that feeling from saying the chart? And work on the feeling of how it feels to say it. Can you really feel into that? And if you're going to be creating a talisman, for example, how does it feel to actually speak into, like if it's a ring, for example, the ring won't come off my finger. So if it's a ring, for example, I've got this owl ring here. If you're wanting to turn it into a talisman or something, to actually vibrate into it as you're saying the spell, and put your vibration into your candle, or into your talisman, into your magical bag, or just out into the universe to vibrate out. Oh, yes, and happy equinox. Yes, happy equinox from yesterday. Well, it's yesterday from here. I don't know if you guys might still be having it up there. Um, because it's the 23rd here. It's probably still the 22nd where you guys are. So up in the the north there. So yes, happy equinox. Happy Marvin for those of you up there, and Ostara for us down here in the southern hemisphere. We had a lovely Ostara day yesterday. Very, very beautiful weather. Very beautiful, warm, sunny weather. So it was really lovely. Where am I? I write my own, but take inspiration from others always, like the video on Hecate, spiritual alchemy or transformation. Yeah, great. Yep, that's what I do too. I will take spells from spell books, and rewrite them and change them and tweak them to suit me. I sometimes have a go at writing my own spells as well, and they're not too bad. I just have to spend a little bit of time doing it. I wear an owl ring too. Hello, hi Kimberly. Okay. So you need to have that psychological impact when you're saying your spell, and feel into how it feels when you're saying it. Does it resonate well with you? Do you like saying it? Does it feel good to say it? Do you feel empowered saying it? How does it make you feel? Now is the appointed hour. Today is the day of my good fortune. How does that feel? Does it feel definite? Now is the appointed hour. Now, you're saying now is the appointed hour. It's very much putting your will out there and feeling very yes. Now is the appointed hour. Today is the day of my good fortune. So it's very definite, and it's putting you into a state of going, yes. It's a yes kind of feeling. You want a yes feeling when it comes to your spells, so that it's yes, it's here, it's now. Let's see. And there's no harm in using affirmations in your spell casting as well. In fact, in the Witch's Guide to Magic, which is my course on magic, I give you options where you can either use affirmations, or you can use a chart, just depending on what you resonate with and what works for you, because for some people the affirmations do work. Other people not so well. They prefer something that's a little bit more, that sounds a little bit more magical. And if it is more magical, it can help put you into that frame of mind and feeling of, now I am creating magic, now I am creating my future, now I am creating what it is that I want. And it can get you into that sense of being away from that mundane world and into more of a sense of being in the sacred and into who you truly are and what you're really doing here. Now, you can integrate your chants with meditation and visualization. So if you're someone who loves using your imagination, then you can say your chant. And as you're saying the chant, you can imagine that you're experiencing a certain thing. So whatever your spell is doing, you're experiencing it. And as you're saying the chant, you're feeling into the experience of it. You're seeing it. You're there. It's happening. The people who would be around you are there. As you're saying your chant. And you can play with silence, having like saying your spell, vibrating it out, and then maybe spending some time in your imagination, imagining it already happening, and then say the spell again. We often do things in threes in magic. So you could decide, well, I'm going to repeat the spell 3 times. And the first time you may say it right at the very beginning. You do a little bit of feeling into the wish fulfilled. You say it again with more power behind it. Do a bit more of a feeling of the wish fulfilled. And then say it again with even more power behind it and feeling into the wish fulfilled. And do that for as long as it's fun to do it. If you're having fun with your magic, then keep having fun with it, because when you're having fun, you're in a higher vibrational state and it's going to be more effective. Repetition of certain phrases you may come across in magic as well. That's something that you can use. Again, it's that repetition of maybe 2 words or 3 words. Money comes to me, money comes to me, money comes to me. That might be part of a bigger spell chant. There may be a whole spell verse, and that might be at the end of it. And so you just keep repeating the last phrase of the spell over and over and over and over again to sort of build up a rhythm and use it as a bit of a mantra to connect you to whatever your goals are and what you're actually wanting. But these things have been done for a long, 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 long time, and very much a part of Western history, from all of the mythologies that have informed current Western thought, and in other cultures as well. I think all cultures have used spell chants and in their rituals and also in the spell casting, because the power of words to help transform us emotionally, vibrationally, is strong, is very, very strong, and also to put that vibration out there and intention out there as well is very strong. You may note that sometimes when you're even in just everyday interactions with people and just normal everyday speech, that the way someone speaks affects how you feel. You will react to how they speak, their tone of voice, for example. Animals react to tone of voice, so they may not actually understand the words or the actual literal meaning of the word, but the way that you say the word has an effect on them. If you've got dogs and you've done dog training, you've got to say the words in a certain way so that the dog kind of gets a sense of the feeling of the word, and that's based on vibration. They're picking up your emotional vibration, they're picking up the vibration of the sound, and it's having an effect on them. So the power of words is really strong. You might, as parents, you probably know the power of words and how sometimes you have to go into, your daddy voice or your mama voice for things like that. And it's because you're sort of taking on that energy of whatever it is that you're trying to make happen or not happen. So it's all in our words. It's all in our vibration. So if you're saying a spell, feel into it. Look at your spell. I'll just grab one from this spell book here. Here's a trust spell. I'm just having a look at it. Or a curse breaker. Let's do a curse breaker. So the curse breaker spell, you'd be looking at the spell, and the first line of that spell is by the flame of darkest night. By the flame of darkest night. Now, there's, if you're looking at it literally, you wouldn't, it wouldn't make sense. But you're thinking of flame, darkest night. You sort of, it has an effect on how you feel. By the flame of darkest night. So it's a feeling, a sense, because a dark night doesn't have a flame. But when you say that, you can feel the energy of strength and power behind that, because the word flame has strength and power behind it. It's fire energy, it's the fire element. But you've got the darkest night. And then, so you've got the darkness there, you've got the hidden there. And the next verse, the next one is break this curse, restore the light. So you're breaking the curse and you're restoring the light. So it has a feeling associated with it as much as it has a meaning associated with it. With oil and water, so if you're using an essential oil and maybe you're using water in the spell here, it could be where there's the black candle is in the pot of water. It's been anointed. With oil and water, free the soul. Candles fire, make me whole. So that's got a lot of power behind it. The words are giving it power. There's a bit of metaphor there, but there's also the literal connection to the oil and the water. And it's giving a feeling. And so you can feel quite powerful with that verse. And it also means what it is that you're doing, breaking the curse, making yourself whole again, making yourself heal again. So you break the flame of darkest night, break this curse, restore the light. With oil and water, free the soul. Candles fire, make me whole. And you could repeat the make me whole, make me whole, make me whole over and over and over again to really build the energy of that spell if you're doing that curse breaking spell for yourself or for somebody else. And if it was for someone else, you would imagine how you would feel once the curse is removed from them. So how would you feel at the success of the spell? So it's not, you can imagine them doing the things that they would be doing if they're feeling better or whatever, and also how that makes you feel to see them now free from the curse. And of course, you put their name in there so that the spell's being directed towards them and breaking the curse that might be upon them if you're doing it for somebody else. But you can see the energy behind the words, and you can feel into the words. And if you're writing your own, you just play with the words until you can really, really, really free them. Okay, repetition and rhyme. Yes, very powerful repetition and rhyme. Of course, you've got music, a musicality aspect to it there with the rhythm and the rhyming. The repetition speaks to our subconscious again because it's rhythm. It's puts us into a trance state, which helps connect us to a subconscious mind. It gets the subconscious mind on board. So that's why we use it, and why music can be very, very powerful. Drumming, if you have a drum or if you're listening to drumming music or anything that has a steady beat, a 4/4 beat, is going to help put you in trance state too. So there's nothing wrong with doing your spell casting to music. If that really gets you into the vibration of the spell and uplifts you and connects you to your intention, then find a song or a piece of music that connects you psychologically to your outcome and use that in your music too, because that's all vibration. Dancing is vibration, working the bodies, it's all about vibration. So the flame of darkest night instantly reminds me of candle magic on a new moon night. Yes, absolutely. And it would be a flame on a darkest night, because if you're using the moon cycle to do curse removal, you probably would be choosing a waning moon. And so it would be a dark night. And if you're really getting into the dark moon being the best time to do any kind of banishing, then yes, the flame of darkest night. So it's the candle magic and the flame. So this is a spell that I like to use with and I'm sure I've got a video on this one, of the cauldron or pot, if you're using a pot, and you fill it with water. You stick your black candle in there, and you make sure that the water only comes up to about either halfway of the candle. And then you anoint your candle as you normally would, and you light the candle, you say the spell, and then you wait for the candle to burn down to the water level, and the water snuffs the flame out, and that's the water snuffing the curse out. So that is where that comes from. So when you're doing a chant or a spell, you can include your tools. So if you're using an oil of rosemary, then you can include that in your spell. Oil of rosemary, your smoke of sage, and then whatever it is that your intention would be if you're using those two. Cleanse this home, or something. As I said, I'm not great with words, so I can't think of something at the top of my head, but you sort of understand what I mean. If you're using sage and you're using rosemary, and maybe you're doing a house cleansing, you could say oil of rosemary, smoke of sage, cleanse this home. Just cleanse this home. Lately, I've been listening to Stevie A. I don't know who Stevie A is. Sorry. Oh, Stevie Nicks. I thought maybe it was Stevie Nicks, but I wasn't sure. Lately, I've been listening to Stevie Nicks during practice. Cool. Yeah, I like her stuff too. Yeah. So yeah, listen to the music. If it gets you going, all the more for bringing you into the emotion. Sing along. If the lyrics of a song fit your spell, then you could use the lyrics of the song to fit your spell. Do that. Write a song for your spell too, if you're musically oriented. Write a song. Sing your spell. Singing your spell is even more powerful because you're really bringing emotion in when you're singing. So if you like singing, then sing your spell and have some fun with that. Find ways that you can play with melody and do things like that. Use the arts in your magic, all of the arts. Magic is an art, but the other arts are there too: music, dance, poetry, all things that you can utilize in your magic. So it's pretty simple. The whole power of words, just understanding its vibration, its resonance with your emotions, and enjoying what it is that you're doing. Even if you are breaking a curse, right? Feel into the power of that, what it feels like to break it. It's gone. It's no longer there. You're feeling whole. You're feeling released from whatever that energy was. So feel into an uplifted emotion when you're doing your spell work like that, because it will certainly help. It will help it tremendously. Okay, so that's about it. So I do have the Witch's Guide to Magic, which is my course on doing spells. So it's not a course on creating spells. I do that in the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. But the Witch's Guide to Magic is how to cast spells. So if you're really looking at casting spells, that is a great course to look at. But that course, the Witch's Guide to Magic, that I've just spoken about, you can just do that course on its own. Or if you're wanting to get into Wicca and Witchcraft in more depth and learn how to create your own spells, as well as work with energy, as well as work with the deities, and use this as a spiritual practice, a practice that helps you connect more with who you are, your spirituality, other people, even connecting, feeling more connected to life in general, then the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy is a good place to start, because it's a 12-month course, and the Witch's Guide to Magic that I just spoke to you about then is actually a bonus course that you get free with the Witch's Guide, with the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. So I'm going to put that academy course in the chat as well. All of these courses can be found on my website, on my homepage, and you can also find them on my YouTube channel underneath the video. So you just go to the description field underneath the video and you'll find them. They're in the chat there as well. And if you really do want to learn to do this stuff and you're wanting to bring this into your life so that you're feeling that sense of connection, you're feeling connected to who you are, that your life's on track, that you can bring your life back on track, that you can have more of a sense of empowerment in your life, then I do recommend the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. And you get the Witch's Guide to Magic free as a part of that as well. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Hi, Joe. I will watch the entire chat later. Came late, not a problem. And so do look out for the video that's coming out at the end of the week or midweek that's on how to create a spell chant. So that will give you some tips on how you can create your own spell chants too. Okay, everyone, blessed be. Have a wonderful equinox if you're still experiencing that because you're in yesterday and we're it's still beautiful weather out there. So it's lovely spring weather here. I hope you're enjoying your autumn weather and that things may have cooled down a little bit for some of you who are experiencing really humid heat lately up there in some parts of the US. So have a wonderful season and we'll see you next week.